Greetings, my friends. I'm the guy that deals with the idea of a holographic med bed, holopod, holo-med, holo-bed, ascension bed, Atlantean bed. My idea is, and I'm trying to illustrate that as best as humanly possible. So to begin with the subject, which takes a long study, my hobby, metaphysics and fringe science, since I was 11. I taught myself because there was no school or a university that would actually assemble the pieces in the way I did it and bring out books or looking into ancient cultures and why and who and what, whatever. This is like a raw diamond, what you're hearing. It will be reformed and it'll be rough cut into a smaller component for you to understand and resonate with what I'm transmitting. I'm not in conspiracy theory as in not proven. If you have no document, no witness or pieces in physical form, you have nothing. So I tell you, people, be very careful with what people throw out there based on fear or whatever programming you want to call it, that never brings forth any physical evidence. Meaning, like, I can pick an intersection somewhere in the desert of Nevada and you can wait for your MIB and they'll never show up, because that's not the reality that we're partaking in, and it's not the reality that takes place right now for you and I. Never has, never will. Yeah, I believe the planet is being watched. I believe that the establishment and the hidden establishment are worried about their assets and finance and control. To a degree, there are no books and no names that you'll see that'll pop up that actually behind the scenes. I will do a video on actually what that Justice Department of the Galactic Committee is doing to that. They're not interfering. We are being observed of how we are handling our development of consciousness. And this is where I come in. Peaceful. We don't challenge institutions. We don't challenge establishments. We are in peace, working with water, crystals, things that make things last longer. And if that is subject to an attack, then that's on the attacker. So put that aside. My trouble with studying conspiracy theories was always that there's a lot of talk, and in most cases that are conspiratory, you have no physical evidence. And I'm not talking about the UFO genre and the government papers and people that investigate, and the evidence on that note is overwhelming. What I'm saying is, if you have witnessed a machine or a gadget or have seen something and you can't replicate it, you have only the theory, the idea, a dream, not even a blueprint. So when I'm a contactee my entire life, it's spectacular because my contact and my dreams help me realize that we're all not from this planet. We're all here, but we're all not from this. For those that don't understand that, or inner or overstand, or whatever aspect you want to call it, resonate, then this is not for you. For those who have an open heart, an open mind, and ears to hear, and eyes to see, and hearts to feel, and empathy to understand what's being transmitted, you're in the right spot at the right time. And this is the beginning. Usually when you are a pioneer, I have experienced, you have all arrows in your back, and everybody has something to say that is not constructive or adding or helping. So we want to fuse and bring people together, and people that do fundings, that there are physical things that can be done and will be done, and then the funding can be translated into something that makes sense. So I invested in device called Luma or Lumi that measures your metabolism and your burn rate and tells you if you have lack of potassium or, I don't know, iodine, and knowing what to invest in. And I don't invest in cryptocurrency because it's another ball game, just like Wall Street started, and it's speculation. You have nothing physical. So physical things is this: whatever gets you to move resources and put stuff together in assembly is actually the intelligence that we should be dealing with. So when I talk to, I make this short, to my galactic committee, which I'm very related to, the Arcturian Council and the Ra Collective and the Law of One. Well, we got to go past what's been channeled and past of metaphors to better your life. I'm here to, okay, how do we make this physical? So let's break down the story for those that are wait. Ascension bed, holo-med bed, you know, what are they showing in movies? So in movies is a little bit of an abstract form for you to understand that this is possible. Not all holo-med beds have to look like that. That you see, actually, you put a body on a bed. You have a computer that scans the cellular structure, the makeup and everything there is, and projects the, let's say, cardiovascular system above the body, and you can either go in there and change things, or the computer knows how to change things holographically and bring that back to the cell structure, and you can regrow limbs, heal hearts, unclog clogged arteries, make tumors disappear. That's the idea, okay? First of that is an affirmation of consciousness. For those who know about Vedic text, we are not conjuring this up or making this up or even writing or channeling this in science fiction because it's a fairy tale. We have somewhat of an idea, Atlantis, Lemuria, high-tech, where we used to be as a human race. And traces of cellular memory come back in terms of storyline. But if the story is that old that you end up having amnesia, you know, your brain effectively forgets the past. So do you remember what you did when you, I don't know, May 5th, 1974, where were you and what were you doing? You don't have memory like an autistic child that remembers every date and every station, but you have no social skills. So the functionality of our brain has been handicapped, which could be also another video. And to break free, to break into that, is that you have to break into ultimate peace and really get into where am I in this and how am I channeling this information. So I looked at why is it that in the pyramid chamber, I think Charles Bovis, if you ever heard about Bovis, that is a guy who measures the energy of life force. That can be an orgone field or an organic field where you can see how is life force maintained. Meaning, why would people in the pyramid chamber heal? Get better, get consciousness. Get into alpha, from back lobe to automated into frontal lobe and cosmic memory over time. This requires training. This doesn't go overnight. How is it that tumors heal in the pyramid chamber? Cancer disappears in the pyramid chamber. Side note, ayahuasca treatment and cancer disappears. Not just through turkey tail tincture, which has been proven, like I'm not making claims. Look at the studies, how a turkey tail tinctures eats cancer cells and alerts the system that cancer is in the body. And it's $6.95 and it's not selling millions, and it should. It shows the level of our consciousness and where we are. Look at the unrest that's taking place right now. Shows at the level of consciousness and brutality and caveman behavior on both sides where we are. So we have to maintain and protect our interest in concentrating on bringing this to you. So what's the significant thing about the pyramid chamber that nobody looks at? What is the significant thing about the Niagara Falls? Maybe some look at it. Hawaii, Sedona, Mount Shasta, root cellar. What do these things all have in common? So when does an organism heal? Before I get into the high tech, I'll break it down. When the cells are in an approximation or in a close distance or adjacent to something that emanates life force. Call it scalar waves, you can call it tachyon, you could call it life force. It has many, many names. It's all the same. the cells will begin to regenerate at the speed at where the body is. Like if you'd overwhelm the body with a healing modality, you'd get sick as a dog and you can almost die. So we need to lean on the threshold of what you can handle with the healing. So what happens in the pyramid chamber, if you haven't heard it, you will hear it now. In the pyramid chamber, I have observed that meat does not decay, it mummifies. Eggs in a glass of water, they are crystallizing, like they dry out and they crystallize. You can let them sit in there for 1 year, take them out, add regular structured water. The egg comes back unaltered, unchanged, no decay, and you can eat it. I've proven that myself with a bottle of cooked rice that I really didn't hermetically seal, or I just cooked regular water with salt and took some rice and put it in a water bottle and put that water bottle in an environment that is like the pyramid chamber. So what does the pyramid chamber do? This is the translation. How do I get the pyramid chamber energy into the device of the holographic med bed, which I call holodynamic? I'll explain to you why. Holodynamic means the photon is from what I'm channeling in my dreams, and when I have dreams that I'm on spaceships and I'm being instructed that I'm a scientist and I'm a commander and I have memories, and it's fragmented and it's very difficult on Earth because it's a lower dimensional system. A photon is a holotron or a holodynamic particle that has mass. Science is trying to tell us, and Webster Dictionary, that is a massless particle. That's like saying jumbo shrimp or military intelligence. It's a non sequitur. It doesn't make sense. Like green is red or blue is gray. No. We got to get out of BS, meaning belief systems, coming back to reality. What's taking place in front of us? And that is that. Holodynamic it's a little tiny toroidal field. That is what I'm channeling. Maybe that's proven in 50 years. Quantum physics is still in debates and back and forth. I'm not here to debate. I'm not here to convert or convince. You either are in resonance with what I'm telling you, with my thesis, hypothetically speaking. This photon is the purest form of light transmission you can imagine, and the highest level of food intake for the body anyway. If you had a Lemurian sun right now, you probably would need a meal a week. How is it that now next level, when people are contacted by royal spaceships, interdimensional craft, that following week most of them don't have to eat. I had an encounter in Mount Shasta where a craft came down like 35 feet above us, 9 witnesses. We all saw the same thing without anybody suggesting anything to anybody, and we were so charged from that field that we didn't have to eat the next 4 days. Hardly having to go to the bathroom. So what's this regenerative process in bringing us back and healing us? And so my idea was like, okay, if there's something with spacecraft, the pyramid chamber, Niagara Falls, why do people heal? Same thing in the pyramid chamber. Highly negative ions, like in the billions, are in the air, and the cells crave that. When you do that with the Tesla coil, you create this purple field. Your body sucks it in because there's not enough here. There's not enough oxygen here either. So when the oxygen is regulated, the negative ions are very, very high. The grounding, as in the magnetic alignment to Earth, meaning black ferrite magnets under your bed in the unifield, will heal and ground you and declutter your blood. So we have the magnetics, the negative ions, the photons, mass amount of concentration of photons that create something like a tachyon wave or a standing electromagnetic wave, which is almost like magnetricity which regular electricians, when I was like 19, I learned that, don't understand. There's electricity that can zap you to death, and there's magnetricity that is actually healing. So when we learn the modalities of healing energy coming towards us, we will rewire this entire planet. And the minute this is coming forth, I've already seen people that build clean, it's called clean E, clean electricity. They have electricity filters to actually heal and clear out the 60 hertz of your electricity coming to your house. So any device, even healing devices that are run on regular electricity, not batteries, are weak in their healing properties because you still have the 60 hertz interfering with that healing process. So many sciences, and you have to do your own investigation. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. This is just mere observation, okay? I always wanted to be a detective. I'm doing interdimensional forensics, if you will, like intergalactic CSI. So I'm putting pieces together that make sense to me after observation of patterns. Patterns fit or they don't fit. So when I see that potatoes in my German grandmother's root cellar last 9 months, and apples 6 to 7 months, and an apple in your kitchen or a tomato less than 2 weeks, I wonder why does meat rot in the refrigerator? It's pumping 60 hertz into your food. So nobody has anything that's a healing modality for your refrigerator where your EMF is the worst, meaning 60 hertz compacted in the refrigerator. Yeah, you know, apple juice lasts a little bit longer because you keep it cool, but you're also refracting light information into that juice. Doesn't make it better. It's the best we have, but we can do better. So I'm thinking, okay, and you can do this at home. Make guacamole. Put it on the table, watch it rot. Now why is that? Watch it die. Now I learned from a chef, how do you prevent that? Same thing as with the root cellar. We have to now use our minds, and anybody can do this. Take the seed of the avocado and put it in the guacamole and put it on your table and watch that sit for 15 hours and it doesn't rot, it doesn't decay. Why is that? Bioresonance. That seed is still attracting negative ions, believe it or not. It pumps out biophotonic energy of life force that tells the cell structure that has now been obliterated, as in the guacamole, that it's still alive. The cells believe that, and they go back to, okay, we're actually still alive. And that's what you want with juice, with fruits, food storage, with soil. I will break that down, what we are doing wrong with our soil. Artificial fertilizer, are you kidding me? We're not thinking about ash, the basic 12 minerals back, and I'm not talking about burned Home Depot wood. So what you want to install a healing in the body is holodynamically, you want the correct information to go to the body. Axiotonal alignment, as in the magnetics, meaning at the magnetic array in your system. You have iron in your blood. Your body is also partially magnetic. When you go to a airport scanner, why is it that they recognize your body? You produce heat, you produce voltage, you produce photons. This is a biodynamic machine. The highest information that food is broken down into, science has also proven that. Do your own research, is light. Minerals are structured light. Vitamins are structured light. Light in certain frequencies that the body needs, and the food is the breakdown of that into frequency. The denser the environment is that you're in, the heavier you eat. The lighter the environment is, the lighter your information is, the better your body can go into regenerative repair mode. So living in a dense city, you're in combat mode all day, every day. If you're in nature, you're not. Science now finds out 1 hour in nature and your IQ goes up by 8 points, you de-stress and you're much healthier. And it's like, I almost want to say, duh, like, what is it that you don't understand, that 20 minutes on a Hawaiian beach resets the electrons in your body for an entire year? Because if you walk around in a regular sneaker, you're wearing insulators. You're not really connecting to the ground. If you're living in a house that doesn't promote the Schumann resonant frequency and you're sitting on limestone, which is your base, well, you're not really in the resonance with the earth, which can also be changed if you'd had hempcrete and magnesium oxide. Your house would be fully pumping Schumann resonance frequency off and through your body, which never increases. The Schumann resonance frequency on this planet is 7.83 hertz. That is related to the circumference of the planet. Since Earth doesn't grow like this in size, this never changes. So if you hear the Schumann resonance was 22, it's a myth. That's crap. There are websites that claim that, but I think they're into plasma or photon. They don't know what they're measuring. So Schumann resonance, also just to debunk that myth, never increases. It's always the same. It fluctuates. It goes from 1 to roughly 8, but it's like the average is 7.83. That is exactly the frequency that produces life, which can also be another video. So what does that have to do with the holodynamic med bed? So we have built 15 years ago an idea, a weak idea of that, by refurbishing a tanning bed. You might laugh, but it has the best form. For those who remember, the orgone accumulator is nice, but you have to sit in the thing, and for some people it's uncomfortable to sit. So we were thinking, how can we make that you can lay in it? So tanning booth, you take out the entire electrical system, the wires and everything, and you just take the shell. This is the idea, or you build it out of wood from scratch. So here's what I did. I used the original orgone template from Wilhelm Reich, which is not the orgone that you see as in poured in resin, and you use shrapnel, you use, I don't know, brass, aluminum, and you mix everything together with no mixing. I'm working in the original recipe of Wilhelm Reich, and if you do not know who Wilhelm Reich, or as in German, Wilhelm Reich was, study the biography and what he invented. Orgone energy. Looking at cosmic energy accumulated and brought back to the body. What we call the Egyptians knew about this. The ancients knew how to build chambers that would do such treats. So we were able to replicate that. So here's what we did. 7 layers of sheep's wool, steel wool, sheep's wool, steel wool, sheep's wool, steel wool. You can also use cotton wool, and at the top of it a galvanized steel or stainless steel. Some say galvanized has even more kick. So here's the idea. 7 layers of that, and then nanoparticles that are charged with highly dimensional photonic light in a lab. Very difficult to produce, also very expensive to produce, because we have to work with nanomaterial, and you need a very expensive grinder, which is like as big as a hangar, going from rocks to nano. Costs millions of dollars, and you need to rent those things in order to get that even produced, because the industry is not really in producing that. And then you take the nanospherical substance and you place that in packages under the orgone layers. So remember, sheep's wool, steel wool, sheep's wool, steel wool, sheep's wool, steel wool, 7 layers. Galvanized steel plate, and then plexiglass over that so you can lay on it. On top of that booth, you put mirrors to reflect and refract the photons back to your body. So what we're doing with this, and hopefully I can wrap this up within this video, is reflecting the original program setting from the human cell from the zero field back to the body. In the zero field, you are holy, you are God, G-O-D, Goma Azduba, strength, beauty, and wisdom. You are in the flesh, resembling the representative of the heavenly body in the flesh. And this is the original idea, as above, so below. It's not so magical, it's not alchemical. So what we do with that bed is basically reflecting your original system back to you, to the highest and the best of our ability to bring back the original information to the cell. So what the human cell does is the same thing that you would do, let's say if you have asthma and you let's say you would be living in a salt mine for 4 weeks, your asthma would disappear. Because we are resetting your body to its original mineral structure. If I put a regular bed next to a spring in a cave, way deep in the mountain, no EMF possible, you heal. You heal because what does the Bible say in many holy books? You know, God forgives always. If you walk towards God, like one step, he comes 3 steps towards you. This is not God and the holy spook in heaven, and this is alchemy. The cell, if you give it the time, can recalibrate and repair itself. So we put a guy, and I'm not making those claims. I have observed a report that was given to me they had a patient that was laying in that booth. And I'm not talking plasmic regrowing limbs yet. And he had a tumor this size in his head. So a good diet, organic sulfur, reishi tea, the good cordyceps, lion's mane, and that stuff. Keep doing that. 6 weeks, the tumor is gone. The guy didn't know meditation, wasn't spiritual, didn't believe in none of that stuff. But he believes in his X-ray that you have no more tumor in your brain, which was inoperable. So if we can manage to reflect you back to your point of origin, where you're actually whole. Holy means actually, as in the avatar, is actually completely in gear. You are fixed. You're well. Then we've done our job. So here's what I did. I looked at magnetic alignment. I looked at negative ions. I looked at photons. You know, how does the body produce photons? How does a photon actually transport information and brings it to the body? But, you know, read the Keys of Enoch, certain Hebrew texts. There's alchemy in there that tell you how fire letters activate the DNA. This has to do with coding. This has to do with program coding of knowing the alchemy of life, which is called magic or magi. The ancients knew this. And that's why it looked to us as miracles, but it is not magic, it is science, and it can be proven. So here's a few things that I did. I make this pendant here, which is a resonator, which is a biodynamic, holodynamic photon modulator that actually is made out of brass. I'm using the old jet symbol as in raising of the consciousness, reflected back to your heart, and your system is changing. And I had even skeptics that say, well, there's all subject to suggestion. And I'm like, I'm about to lose my mind as a hobby scientist and open person to the field, that I'm not here to convince people that are in cognitive dissonance to what I am teaching, to what I am explaining. I have built a bed now, and it is made out of 9 layers because I'm thinking 9-dimensional, angelic, heavenly realms. So I have 9 layers of the organic substance, stainless steel plates on top, black farad magnets embedded inside. So you have, let's say you're laying in 4 to 5 Gauss. Earth's Gauss level is like 0.4. It's very, very, very small. So the healing is almost impossible standing on it. You need to lay on the ground. So we increase that. I have packages that are has reflective and refractive substance of nanoparticles, which is very, very expensive to come by, placed pounds in that bed. So the photons get sucked into the organic layer and pumped upward. And I'm testing it right now, and what happens is it's like a reboot. Your memory, brain fog disappears. People that test it out after 8 minutes fall asleep because for the first time the body goes into repair mode, original repair mode. Now if you assist that with herbs and the substances that you need to help you to move debris, as in trash, out of your system, you heal faster. If you resist the healing, you might get better, but if your path is to not heal and you decide with your mind to override that, that's your royal right, then this bed can do nothing for you. So we are working with people that are open to test it out, to have things changed, things through light information changed. So we had cases where we individually custom made pendants. We had somebody that had Hashimoto's disease. The woman doesn't want to do an interview, and you know, we need to get those who want to come forward, or fibromyalgia or MS, and without any crap or medicinal synthesis, people are clear. And that's the idea for the future, that we know how to work with sound, color, and resonance. and bring that to a modality that this can be healing and helping people. So we have developed a few prototypes. I'll show you how, you know, in part how it was put together. You'll see that from what prototype we want to go, what we want to actually do, and where we want to go, how to make it stronger. I've realized if the bed is too strong, you're laying 5 minutes on it and then you get sick. We don't want that. So I had to lower the intensity of the energy that we actually shoot into your body. So it's called Herxing or Herxheimer. When you are on this bed for 30 minutes a day, that should be enough for your body to recalibrate, because your lymphatic system, everything is actually being hit with it. And here is the difference between a holographic med bed and regrowing limbs and all that good stuff that you have seen. Is we're leaning on, first off, the body wellness before we can reach a level to regrow limbs. To regrow limbs, you need to reach a plasmic level, which is the fourth state. There's been debates about it, but to me there's no debate. There's solids, liquids, gases, and there's plasma. And plasma is that when the water inside of you is structured. That's why people want to juice. A lot of juices destroy the plasma that comes from the plant when they restructure the plant, cutting it down. I think there's one is called Norfolk. It's the only one they have measured in labs, and people don't know this. It maintains the structure. The plasma, as in the fourth state, where people say structured water, there's no such thing. There is this. You know, the insects that can walk on water. And then they looked at this water surface tension and what's under it. The water surface has a different structure than what's in or under the water. And that gel type substance is what your cell has. The human cell is surrounded by this structured water. And when that is in danger, as in EMF, and disrupted, we're having problems. So what the cells do is the cells communicate with photonic impulses. I have to lie, let it be 100,000 impulses per nanosecond. If these are correctional data, like in a computer language is called a corrector bit. Is the cell asking, are you okay? The cell is replying yes, and then on and on. So if the communication on a light level in your body is disturbed due to stress, belief system, foreign suggestion, electromagnetic frequencies, 5G, microwave, satellite, anything in the gigahertz, military, special ops, whatever they zap us with, disrupts the psyche, disrupts the entire system of you. And those who want magic and moving objects and all that stuff, we can't even begin with those CDs, as in magical treats or traits, if the body is not clear and whole. Meaning the shadow self is fully integrated, the emotional body is balanced, the masculine, the feminine is balanced, the chakratic system is in the center. A lot of people's chakras is way out of smack. I can do videos without ending about this, where you can measure with a biometric system that people's heart chakra is here, sacral chakra is here, third eye is closed and it's way out of the body. So when the body is not healed and not one, these systems are not in the central line. If you're not in the central line, your entire morphic field, is which can be measured. You heat, you're attracting from below, like an apple, and you're spewing it out through the crown in a swirl. That is a healthy rainbow field that you carry. That's why they say rainbow kids or rainbow warrior, whatever. You are that being. You are that super being on a high dimensional aspect. NASA has this, and certain science labs have like night vision that can go into like 15 spectrums of infrared, where your eyes don't even have the perception to see that, where they can see plasmic beings floating around on Earth, that there are other life forms that you can't even see. So there are energetic aspects of you that you can't see that they can look at. So there are, and that goes of course into this conspiracy, I believe it exists, there are bases where they can read your aura. They can see if you're an indigo. They can see if you have a galactic signature. They can see if you are attracting UFOs. They can see if weird things happen around you. But what they can't see, if it goes as a certain high dimensional levels, the machines cannot look into this. And so the bed that I have built does not run on electricity. It's not required. I have learned that if you store photons in a crystal, the crystal can hold it roughly, to a Russian calculation that I found, 15,000 years linear timeline. That's the first level of free energy. And I'm not talking moving parts. I'm talking about your body getting its cosmic memory back and healing on all levels. That is so important. So the bed that I've built, the purpose for that is to mimic a pyramid chamber, an ascension chamber, a celestial chamber. The next level from that bed will be a Kozyriev mirror. I want to move that bed into a Faraday shielding and put that in a cargo container and have it absolutely shielded from any possible EMF interference, meaning that your cell phone shouldn't work in there, microwaves shouldn't work in there, and it's just you and your cellular information coming back to you, hearing your own heart, hearing your own psyche, and increasing and building that and fixing the body from that. No supplements required, only you to be in that field and eat healthy to support that your body can detox itself, because you are flushing every morning, detoxes every morning. And there's a video that I did, it's called Eat Right for Life. If you eat according to the circadian rhythms, as in cyclical eating, you'll have no problem with weight anymore. You don't need a diet. You can, instead of diet, you can live it. You don't have to kill it or fast. The worst thing you can do is when people say, yeah, I've been water fasting. If you deprive your body of minerals it needs to replenish, to repair, and defend itself, you're hurting yourself. You're not doing your body no good. And we've seen those gurus that fast for 3 months, they almost die. Their doctor measures them, heart palpitations, they look like skin and bones. This cannot be the holy way for the body to actually reestablish something that makes sense. I say if somebody has a plasmic body fully established, I don't know, has its private holo bed, sleeps in it every day for an hour, you should be fine, you should be conscious, and you should be having the weight according to your height and not being skinny, and you can eat actually anything. So there is no side to things. Eat according to your blood type, eat in moderation, do not lose yourself in extremes, and you shall be fine. So we had people in these beds where certain malfunctions they had, put it this way, disappeared completely, like wiped out, past a blood zapper and all of these things, like, and who loves saying like, it's like filling in the blanks, trying to find the wave pattern that I have just left. Being in that bed, fixing yourself, bringing your original cosmic memory back. That's where galactic citizenship comes in. This goes further than just healing. When you repair your stuff and you really get into it, and I was in Egypt, I was in the pyramid chamber, I checked these things out, Sedona, Hawaii. I will give you another example why these beds are so effective. There was something peculiar that somebody explained to me in Hawaii that people don't observe. There is an African tree there that needs 90 years to reach its full height. So I asked the gardeners and botanists and those who are knowledgeable about that, so how many years does this African tree, I forgot the name, is it mandel, something bread trees, like these flat trees from the African desert. They look like bread. I don't know the exact name, but you know what I mean. These trees need 90, 100 years to reach their height. Very high, super large trees. In Hawaii, they need only 20 years. So I looked at it, why is that? And then the gardeners was like, well, weather cycling is normal. It's very jungly, it's moist. Negative ions, you can measure that with an ionic meter. You can buy that for $50 on eBay. It's called an ion air meter. Negative ions Magnetics are aligned, they're not disrupted, and photons like crazy. So the cycling of natural energy is very, very high. So these trees need 20 years to reach the same height that trees in Africa need, as in they need 90 years. So you see the difference of density and light. So if you could put basically a tree as such in the energy of a pyramid chamber, it would need 20 years to grow to its full height. You can even accelerate that. The higher the energy, the higher this goes. Now, I leaned on another case which also confirmed my findings. That is the abduction of Travis Walton. And I spoke briefly with the guy. I felt the guy, and you know, many out there with their theories, you don't know, but this guy felt like he has left Earth for some time. You have to watch the story to understand. And he said to me, well, everybody's busy with the abductions and aliens and are aliens real. Nobody looks at the effects of the place where I was abducted. So I said, well, what happened up there? And here's where it gets interesting to replicate that. And there's a video, Travis Walton, I think 40-year reunion on YouTube. You must find that before it's deleted, or if it's deleted, because you know things disappear. Well, I've seen the video several times where he goes with a group of people and they're taking samples from the trees in the circumference of where the ship touched base, and he ran into the beam and was picked up. So the interesting thing around that time, the growth of the trees, as in the rings in the trees, was exponential. And years after, the outer rings from the chopped trees began to rot. And the inside of the rings where the event took place are defying decay. They're healthy, and you know when a tree grows, the rings have kind of like this distance over and over and over and over. When a tree grows exponentially, the rings have kind of like a distance, like, you know, the growth rate was accelerated. And you can see that in the trees where the ship touched base. Soil samples, the same thing, as in magnetics. Biological life was enhanced by 37% roughly, if I'm remembering that correctly. So I'm like, how can we replicate that and put it in the bed? Increase the photons going into the body. Align the magnetic structure around the Merkabic field and the systemic and chakratic system alignment, which is in the Vedic text and in the palm leaf library of Madras. You can you request to read leaves where these scientific things, as in meridians, are actually, it's written down. It's 10,000 years old. It's probably even older. It's probably even ET technology. So now I was thinking, while everybody talks about it, how can I replicate this? So I can put a tomato in my bed and it'll last a year. It won't rot, it won't decay, it won't shrivel. It'll probably mummify because it loses liquid, but the decay stops. And this is my point. And that's where reverse aging comes in. The Russians did that, and I can go on and on. Putting people in chambers, playing them songs like old dudes, and everything that they isolated the guys, and then they played them memories like shows 30 years ago, magazines 30 years ago, everything that they remember from 30 years ago. Well, pigments came back, color came back, dementia disappeared. These people kind of came back. So aging is according to what you believe and where your memory goes. And if you believe you have to grow old that quick, well, that will become your reality. If we can defy that, I mean, you can look at me, I'm 51. How old biologically do I really look? Is I'm working very hard to defy that. And when I'm 61, I'm trying to like be in the same speech pattern, same weight pattern, and same facial structure, treating myself with that, surrounding myself with crystalline technology. And I think this is important for the future, for people to have these crystalline ascension beds, Atlantean beds, holodynamic med bed, I call it, to help themselves to reboot, to get out of stress, to come back, use the modalities to be well, to be fixed, to be in life, and live much longer than the average lifespan. And that's the rough explanation of my holodynamic med bed. I have a theory that I'm working on, and there will be a video on that, maybe a course on holodynamic principles, and the thesis on what is a holodynamic particle, what is that based on, It's funny, I listened to Nassim Haramein where he said that the universe doesn't need you to observe it. That this is a bullshit belief. I believe so too. Things exist whether you believe or not. I think the universe is a unfolding simulation that starts with the base code and then unfolds with simulation within simulation. But like in every simulation, and depending on the depth of simulation, things get real. So don't lose your 3D. Stay anchored in life. You still bleed. You still need oxygen to breathe. And unless things change in the physical, you only have theory. So that's why I tell people, get out of theory, and you'll see now a video that probably won't be erased, where I'm showing you I have built such a device. And there's nothing weird about it. I don't even know if you can get a patent, because the patent industry needs to require to be a council that is more equipped with a higher IQ to actually evaluate what I'm telling you here. Tests speak for themselves. I took this energy also like and condensed it in old cars and put it, I call them the fuel diviner. You clip it on a fuel line, and unless you have a car that has a chip that controls your consumption, which is also another weird thing by the industry, you'll save fuel. Your car will purr like a kitten, and it will be more aligned, and your consumption will drop. If I do that with water alkalizes. I'm in the photonic field. There's much more videos where I teach that photons corrected and condensed, fired into like water, will alkalize the water, will structure the water, everything the body needs, as in correct sunlight, which is difficult in dense areas because you have a lot of benzol molecules floating around that comes from fuel. And Dr. Fritz Popp, who I think was attacked, and his doctor title was attacked for that, but he has proven if you have this benzol molecule, looks like a donut, and sunlight, UV ray with healthy light hits the molecule, it gets refracted, and you're getting partial sunlight. You're not getting the full information. So of course, if you are in a healthy environment, rural country, and you have less fuel around you, we won't even talk about nuclear energy, you're healed, you get better. And the human race needs time to develop an understanding that it is so. And by that time, you know, I build stuff from my dreams, I channel that in. I have built an ionizer that doesn't need electricity to ionize the air, because you have to know the geometric models and the alignment of steel or brass or copper. How does it respond, at what distance, what is created. As you remember, Tesla has developed a power plant that could create electricity from the ether by placing steel plates in a close proximity and just picking up the ether energy that's in the atmosphere, and you turn it into electricity. Well, he built that, and it was destroyed 3 times because people say, you know, this is an abomination, it's the devil. We're trying to help people here and help you get in gear, having less bills, less pressure, and living a good, well, and healthy life, fully integrated. And hopefully that gives you a little bit of an explanation of what I do and how I do it. And if you like the vibe, join your tribe, subscribe, hit that button, you know where it is, and you'll get more. So now this is also a sequence where I'm beginning is to get into the creative aspect and the good work of what can we do to change the modalities of the understanding that there are things that can actually be brought into physical form. So anybody that channels, has a double life or whatever you are, or a super soldier, you've been in other places, find funding and people and communities that help you, that you can put that stuff into physical form. And that's why I come in. I like my dreams and my visions and things that I see. That you watch Star Trek, you watch Farscape, all of that stuff. How can we make these things that are props in the movie physical things that can do physical things to us, so we can unfold into the alchemical, alchem, as in Chemet, Egypt, from Egypt, alchem, that's where that word comes from, and create the magic that actually where we came from, past the fall of Atlantis, and reinstall the forces of light and do the good work. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. And if anybody has questions or people want to invest or partake in this, we're going bigger, we're building more, And we're putting our chips into this, you know. We're not trying to drive a Lamborghini. It's not about that. It's about, can we make you better? Can we make me better? And can we elevate the IQ and animate that? And this bed has so much extra stuff. If you want to read what photons can do and what people have reported that they can do, go to my website and read on customer reports of how the pendants, and that's just the pendant. Now imagine pounds of that stuff in a bed, what it can do to you and do for you. And at some point we'll have testing stations where you don't have to believe anything that I say. Lay in it for 15 minutes and tell me you feel nothing, which is impossible. It's like I'm changing the color in the screen and you're going to tell me nothing happened. So the sky is blue, the sun will rise every day, and as long as the birds are singing and the trees are green, we have good areas, and we should continue in those areas. No violence, no blood. This is about consciousness and alerting to you what is and what is here on the planet so you can see. So we all looking for that common medium that we can come together and we can all agree past any religion, past any book. Healing is healing, wellness is wellness. The orgasm of the brain is that you understand, you get it, you're in resonance, and it's better for you and for everybody that you inspire. This was my first presentation of a holodynamic bed. I will write a blog on the scientific data in detail, and the rest is for you to observe, marvel, and document. I'm Commander Arcturus Ra, and I continue my work bringing forth physical data and physical objects, things you can feel and you can test. On that note, I most certainly will see you on the flip side.